Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. Top stories. Tensions mount in Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board as Minister and Executive Secretary tussle for power. Dozens abducted as bandits strike Kaduna community again. Russia threatens nuclear war if US deploys troops to Ukraine. Details of these stories and more shortly. Let's also tell you that the Nigerian Senate has suspended fellow lawmaker Abdul Ningi for 3 months over claims made by the lawmaker that the 3.7 trillion naira was inserted into the nation's 2024 budget. This followed a heated debate on the floor of the Senate, where some lawmakers said that Ningi had brought the image of the Senate to disrepute following his allegations against the upper legislative chamber. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was a chaotic session on the floor of the Senate. Lawmakers took turn to express their view over the allegations by Abdul Ningi, who had claimed that the Senate had padded Nigeria's 2024 budget.
I think would be Senator Ningi, who I respect a lot, has a duty even to his own children, that he will not be the man who will be reported in the front pages of newspapers and electronic media all over the world and say something that he found out is not true.
Allegations have been made against Senator Abdul Ningi. I think it's only fair for us to give him time or to give him chance to defend himself.
This thing has happened. It has happened. And Ningi was wrong. I told Ningi in here that he made a mistake, that he should stand up and apologize to us first, then apologize that, look, this even figure that I'm looking for 3 trillion is here.
What my big brother, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, who I respect so well, planned to do or set out to do was tantamount to a civilian coup.
I have here a copy of the last 3 budgets that was passed, 2021, 2022, 2023. All the details of these agencies I've mentioned are not contained in this document. So for my brother who have put up a consultant to look into these budgets and have reported that 25 trillion was approved by the Senate, it's not been fair to the Senate.
Though many lawmakers were upset, Senator Ningi was given an opportunity to defend himself.
Please, can you allow me to, Mr. President, perusing through the budget. First, we discover some bogus anomalies of repetition. We discovered some senatorial districts in this particular document. Some senatorial districts have up to 120 billion.
However, the Senate took a voice vote where majority voted for his suspension.
The Senate hereby places distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi on suspension in respect of his vituperations, falsehood, and unverified report in the BBC interview, including other media or houses, and is therefore suspended for a period of 3 months from partaking in events in the Senate or being found in the precincts of the National Assembly for the next 3 months.
Senator Ningi, who was also accused of using the platform of the Northern Senators Forum, resigned from the position following the suspension by the Senate. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Earlier, Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst, joined me to further discuss this development.
It's so unfortunate where someone who is as educated and as who is a ranking member of the Nigerian Senate will make allegations that is bringing the institution of the Nigerian legislature to public disrepute. What is the whole essence of granting that interview? You are playing the ethnic card. You said Tinubu administration is anti-North. You said that 3.7 trillion could not be found, could not be matched. There is no project cost and location. Meanwhile, a rookie who is just a fresher in the National Assembly will know that budget document is calibrated into different parts. There is what is called the capital expenditure and then the recurrent expenditure. You cannot have a recurrent expenditure in the form of project. So it goes on that count. Two, even if there were to be any party, who did the party? It is the National Assembly. The president submitted a budget of 27 trillion to the Senate on November 29. And by the time this Nigerian National Assembly was returning the same budget to the president on January 1, they have increased it by 1.2 trillion. So that's what jacked the cost up to 28.7 trillion. Now, leave that aside. Talk about padding. From time immemorial, members of the National Assembly have always put something in the budget for their constituency project. And it doesn't come to me as a surprise that some got, some didn't get. It's the power of appropriation. However, the fault is from both the executive and the legislative arm.
Still in Nigeria's lower legislative chamber, the bill for an act to expunge imprisonment punishment for anyone caught attempting suicide, the establishment of a bank for the nation's mining sector, and the establishment of a tertiary medical center in Cross River State, southern Nigeria, have all passed second reading. The three bills, which were considered for the second time on the floor of the House of Representatives, were passed after a voice vote by lawmakers.
The first among the three bills that passed the second reading is a bill for an act to amend Section 327 of the nation's criminal code, which provides a 1-year imprisonment for any person who attempts to commit suicide. Despite suicide being regarded as a mental health condition by the World Health Organization, it is finally getting the attention of lawmakers.
We should use our privilege as lawmakers to harmonize the laws in such a way that the Criminal Code Section 327 is amended to ensure that those who attempt suicide are rather given psychosocial counseling.
Also, the bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Mining Development Bank, which, according to lawmakers, will provide financial support, promote investment, and the development of the nation's mining sector.
A pivotal focus emerges on fostering inclusive growth, thereby amplifying its societal impact. This bill purposely extends a supportive arm to individuals, cooperatives, and companies actively involved in mining activities.
The average banking outlet that will actually require you to, in some cases, exhume the grave of your grandmother before they can give you a loan, do not take into cognizance the high risk factor that is involved in this sector. To this end, we need a special purpose vehicle.
The last of the three bills is the bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Center Act and establish a federal medical center in Cross River State to provide access to health care for people living in Boki local government area of the state.
The nearest tertiary medical center to Boki local government is 4 hours that is in Abakaliki, and 6 hours in Calabar, the state capital. So if somebody is sick, there is a tendency that before the person is taken to these centers, something else may have happened to the person.
The bills, which received support from lawmakers, were passed after a voice vote and will now be referred to their various committees for more input. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Thank you, Idong, for that report. And right now we have our correspondent in Lagos, Bettina Nweli, to speak to us on, she's actually on the ground right now, and she's to speak to us on Pengas downing their tools, even as the minister and executive secretary, you know, are on a rift, even as the rift rattles on. Hello, Bettina. Thank you so much for joining me. So
Thank you for having me, Dashen. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. So can you speak to us on the effect of the strike by Pengas? How has it affected filling stations or even petroleum products around Lagos?
Well, according to what I have seen on the ground, this is the third filling station that we are coming to this morning or afternoon now, and there are really no queues. We saw a bit of queues earlier, but I will call them normal queues, nothing out of the ordinary. I took the liberty to also speak to some of the attendants at the fuel stations, and they say they know nothing about any impending strike. So for now, I would say that we are still safe, but I do know that if the news gets out to the public, there will be panic buying, which will eventually lead to some sort of scarcity of fuel in Lagos State. But for now, there is nothing of such, of which I should also quickly add that whatever issues that Pengas are having are internal issues that have to do with them as an organization or as a corporation, which shouldn't affect the masses or the public. There's no reason for Pengas to go on strike because of, you know, discrepancies within their internal communication. It shouldn't affect the entire country, in my opinion.
All right. Now, I think I agree with you when you said that it's an internal wrangling and should be settled between them. But then, you know, with Pengas, you know, going on strike, and we know how Nigeria is, especially when they hear, you know, about anything that has to do with petroleum products or the volatility when it comes to, you know, anything that touches on petrol. You talked about, you know, asking some attendants in like 2 filling stations. But is there a likelihood of, you know, the strike affecting these products, let's say, you know, between today or tomorrow? You said there's no queue, right? You actually said there's no queue. But have you spoken to any of the consumers? Yeah, please go ahead.
I said, if you even look at the station where we are, you can see that there is next to nothing when you talk about queues here. But the question you're asking now is whether the products will still be made available should Pengas go on strike. But then again, I'd like to remind us that at the end of the day, we Nigerians are sometimes the problems of ourselves. Because if this strike should go, as you know, Pengas has said, you will see that even the stations will begin to hoard the fuel. Now, that won't be Pengas' fault, but just people trying to make extra income, being opportunistic about the situation. So again, I don't think that this Pengas strike should affect what is going on with the masses, but we will be watching and we will see what would come out of it. If the strike would eventually hold, we will find out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bettina. I will definitely wait and see how this actually goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, moving on. Oyo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has formally declared his intention to contest the November 16 governorship election in the state. He made the declaration at the Gani Fawahimi Arcade, Akure on Tuesday. Aiyedatiwa, who became the governor of the state on December 27, 2023, following the demise of his principal, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, will be contesting the governorship ticket of the All Progressives Congress at the primary coming up in April. Speaking at the event, Aiyedatiwa said he sought to retain the governorship seat to continue from where his late principal stopped, particularly in the area of welfare of the people, infrastructural development, and security of the state. On the 10th of October 2023, the chairman of the Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State, Adesina Ogunshola, was reported by the Punch newspaper to have said road construction will commence in the Magoro area of the council after the rainy season that year. His statement seemed to have come with some level of joy and hope for the people of Magoro community. Unfortunately, the rainy season has come and gone without any trace of construction work as promised by the chairman. It's been 5 months since that promise and the rains are here again. Our special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Ononye, tries to find out how the people are holding on to that promise. His report.
The once barren Magoro along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State, became active about 16 years ago with hundreds of people migrating from parts of Lagos and Ogun State. Now the once peaceful and fast-developing area has become a hell on earth for residents of the community, owing to what the people say is a total neglect by the government. That neglect seems to be very evident in two major public infrastructure, access road and power supply.
A lot of influx. A lot of people are moving, most especially when this the highway construction commenced. So, and people know the potential that Magoro has connecting to Lagos and all that. So that really gives us hedge.
The ballooning size of Magoro is helped by more than 10 other communities bordering the town. These communities include Shofalarin, Ibasha, Ajegunle, Makogi, Abuloko, and Gong. Others include Magada, Igodo, Shote, Ishefun Elede, Okeayo, Agungi, and Pampanra. Magoro also shares boundaries with notable towns like Ibafo, Mowe, Akute, and Arekpo.
This was awarded in 2015. It was awarded and hoping that it will be completed and good one for that matter, but the project, yes, was not completed. And all what we heard was that it has been commissioned.
The light we are using here, I contributed in doing the light.
Mr. Mike, a landlord and shop owner, says living and doing business in Magoro has become an unprofitable venture, lamenting the state of the road and power supply.
They came last year, they said they're going to do this road. That because of the rain, that when rain stops, they will start doing the road. We are entering under rainy season. We never see anybody. And it's very bad of them because they are collecting revenue even from me that is here.
They come, they collect tax, they collect permits, trade permits. And each time they come, I always accuse them that you people come here to collect money from us, but you are not giving anything back to the society.
One account by a respondent in an online publication by Taiwo Alimi opines that it was in the early 90s and out of ignorance, some indigents of the community sold off the topsoil of their land to some money bags and government officials. According to what was passed down, thousands of tons of soil was taken from Magoro to fill Alausa in Ikeja, the present seat of power in Lagos State, hence the flood whenever it so much as drizzles, rendering the area impotent. Residents who own cars tell tales of how they cannot make use of their cars, otherwise they risk getting stuck in the craters or have their vehicles break down in the middle of the road.
Every year we spend nothing less than 15 million naira to just have a palliative. The palliative that could not even stand the test of time, because we are not allowed to do any major work on the government road without their approval.
The transport here is too high. When there is rain now and the road fell like this now, all the whole road will be flooded. Okada, where they are taking 100, they will say 300. So we are suffering it so much.
When it is rain, it used to give us problem because our motor will be getting spoiled. The water will be no better drainage, and that is what caused the damage on the road. We are begging government to come to our aid and help us rehabilitate, rebuild that road.
The earnest yearning of the people is that someday soon the government will keep to its word of giving this community the access road it so long deserves. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoye.
News Central now returns after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now to some health matters. The need for a paradigm shift in addressing the problem of brain drain in Nigeria's health sector has been emphasized. Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, who termed the shift as circular brain drain, says it should focus on circulating intellectual capital both physically and virtually worldwide. Professor Abayomi, who was speaking at an event in Lagos, said in line with this concept, the Lagos State is investing in upgrading essential components of the healthcare system to transform the healthcare sector into a magnet for talent and to position itself as a hub for healthcare innovation, ultimately reversing the brain drain trend. All right, moving away from that, let's head up north where gunmen on Tuesday launched a brazen attack on Kaduna State's Kajuru district, abducting numerous individuals, adding to the escalating insecurity gripping the region. The abduction spree started a few days after the shocking kidnapping of over 250 pupils from a school in the same vicinity, intensifying concerns over the safety and security of residents. As security forces continue their efforts to locate the missing pupils from Kuriga village, reports emerge of gunmen descending upon the village in the early hours of Tuesday morning. State lawmaker Usman Elami Stingo revealed in an interview that the assailants seized 32 women and 29 men in the raid. The successive large-scale abductions pose a significant challenge to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, which has pledged to address insecurity while grappling with economic hardships and striving to attract investment to Nigeria. Authorities in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, have ordered that all illegal structures and shanties along all creeks, waterways and bridges and under high-tension cables be demolished, while the illegal occupants should be evicted. Now, the action became necessary to protect lives and property of about 22 million Lagosians. News Central's Ningi Omoni completes the story.
In Lagos, the lack of adequate housing and rapid rate of urbanization has resulted in millions of people constructing their own homes, often on land they do not own. These informal settlements, commonly referred to as shantytowns or slums, provide basic shelter for many of the city's poorest residents. The homes, typically built from scrap materials like wood, plastic sheeting and corrugated metal, often offer rudimentary housing when first constructed. However, Lagos State recently commenced a large-scale demolition of illegal structures and shanties across the region, with the most recent demolitions occurring in the Jakande estate.
Some of the buildings you see that they call shanty or attachment here in Jakande, they initially moving from Morocco. They move people from Morocco down to this place. So, and the numbers of buildings they gave to people in Jakande is not up to the people, the numbers of people they move from Morocco. So what happened is this, they have to find a way because there is nowhere to go.
I feel so bad.
Why?
Because they did not notify any of the people here. So that those houses, they have their allocation paper, but instead of them listening to us, they came and start running after us, chasing us away.
One reason given for the demolitions is to improve the image of the state in line with the Lagos Urban Regeneration Plan.
Everything is turned into environmental slum, and we can't continue with that. That's why we are moving into Ijora, Obalende, and this. So everyone that has legal documents are being inventorized. We already know where they are, and then we will get to them.
Some homes have been built on waterways and drainage alignment, and another stated rationale is to create a flood-free metropolis as the rainy season begins.
The whole of Apapa collectors are blocked. The right of way had been taken over by individuals who moved their fences to take extra land and not allow us take care of the collectors. And we have no time to rain have started.
For those displaced due to the demolition efforts, is their predicament solely due to illegal habitation? Or do we apportion some blame to the government for its inability to provide accessible and affordable housing options? While aiming to end all illegal acts that could impact public safety, many say the Lagos authorities must also address the underlying lack of sufficient housing supply that contributes to the proliferation of informal settlements. In Lagos, for News Central, Ni Omani.
The need for a paradigm shift in addressing the problem of brain drain in Nigeria's health sector has been emphasized. Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, who termed the shift as circular brain gain, says it should focus on circulating intellectual capital both physically and virtually worldwide. Professor Abayomi, who was speaking at an event in Lagos, said in line with this concept, the Lagos State is investing in upgrading essential components of the healthcare system to transform the healthcare sector into a magnet for talent and to position itself as a hub for healthcare innovation, ultimately reversing the brain drain trend.
We have a lot of strategies in place to tackle that. We're trying to be less concerned about brain drain and be more strategic about what we call the circular brain or brain gain, the ability to circulate our intellect both physically and virtually across the world. Lots of Nigerians want to come home, and they're beginning to see that enabling environment that this government is establishing in Lagos State, and we're very happy about that because, you know, we don't want to be responsible for people coming. We just want to create that space that is attractive. Physical infrastructure, a lot of attention to our human resources for health, improved diagnostics, diversification, good regulation, enticing and enabling and providing an ecosystem that is attractive to the health sector.
In neighboring Niger Republic, a United States general and high-ranking officials have embarked on a crucial visit to the West African country, aiming to engage with the military junta following the ousting of elected leader Mohamed Bazoum. The delegation's mission, spearheaded by General Michael Langley of U.S. Africa Command, marks a renewed effort to establish contact after the coup and subsequent political upheaval in Niger. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's previous visit to Niger in March 2023 underscored the nation's growing significance as a strategic partner for the United States and its European allies in the Sahel region. However, recent events, including successive coups in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, have reshaped the geopolitical landscape, prompting the need for swift diplomatic engagement. You're still watching News Central now. Coming up after the break, Togolese lawmakers extend state of emergency in northern Savannah's region. We have the details after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. Still in West Africa, Togolese members of parliament have voted to extend the state of emergency in the northern Savannah's region for an additional 12 months in response to ongoing security threats stemming from jihadist incursions. The decision comes amid heightened concerns over the persistent infiltration of militant groups from neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, posing significant security challenges for Togo and its neighboring countries. President Faure Gnassingbe initially decreed the state of emergency in June 2022, and it has since been extended twice, highlighting the severity and longevity of the security crisis in the region. In his remarks to lawmakers, Colonel Hodembalo Awate emphasized the government's commitment to utilizing this measure judiciously to bolster security and ensure a conducive environment for the upcoming legislative and regional elections scheduled for April 20th. The Senegalese government is set to withdraw its appeal against a court ruling reinstating opposition figure Ousmane Sonko on the electoral roll. Sources close to the case reveal that the government plans to retract the appeal during a Supreme Court hearing scheduled for Thursday, marking a potential turning point in Sonko's legal battle. The Dakar High Court previously ordered Sonko's reinstatement on the electoral roll in mid-December, overturning this removal following a conviction for sexual misconduct. The court deemed the conviction invalid as it was handed down while Sonko was still at large, thus warranting a retrial under the criminal code. Sonko's potential return to the electoral roll could restore his electoral rights, offering a glimmer of hope for his supporters. Now in World Wrap, President Vladimir Putin has warned the West that Russia is technically ready for nuclear war and that if the U.S. sends troops to Ukraine, it would be considered a significant escalation of the conflict. Putin, speaking on Wednesday, just days before a March 15th to 17th election, which is certain to give him another 6 years in power, said the nuclear war scenario was not rushing up and he saw no need for the use of nuclear war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine has triggered the deepest crisis in Russia's relations with the West since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, and Putin has warned several times the West risks provoking a nuclear war if it sends troops to fight in Ukraine.
С военно-технической точки зрения мы, конечно, готовы. Они у нас постоянно находятся в состоянии боевой готовности. Это первое. А второе, и это тоже вообще признанная вещь, наша триада, ядерная триада, она является более современной, чем любая другая триада. А таких триад только вот у нас, да, американцев, на самом деле. И мы здесь продвинулись.
And now we move to business, where for years, the Apapa axis of Lagos gained notoriety for its traffic gridlock, which had crippled commercial activities in the area and at the Lagos ports. Now, the gridlock was largely due to bad roads and the endless queues of trailers waiting to lift containers at the ports. In a bid to address this, in February 2021, the Nigeria Ports Authority launched the electronic call-up system for trucks looking to access the ports in Lagos. The electronic call-up system, managed by Truck Transit Park Limited, is an app through which truckers are expected to book turns to enter the ports. The introduction of the system was greeted with widespread optimism, but how has the new call-up system fared since? We have Jama Onwubuariri, MD, Truck Transit Parks Limited, joining us to assess the efficiency of the ETO Callup App to address the perennial gridlock seen on the access roads to Nigeria's Lagos ports. Thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Thank you, Darshan.
All right, now it's been 3 years since the launch of the ETO Callup App. Can you talk us through its key achievements and challenges?
Okay, so we have achieved quite a lot in the past 3 years. I'll just highlight a few. The first is that the perennial gridlock that plagued the Lagos ports have been brought under control. Today, it will take you between 2 days and 4 days to get to the port from when you are called out. So that's a significant achievement from what used to be 2 weeks and more. We've also achieved significant reduction in the cost of making that movement. Before, you will pay informal payments of up to 300,000 to non-governmental agents who are on the road controlling traffic. Today is between 10,000 and 23,000 for you to access the port, depending on where you're coming from, the terminal you're going to, and the business that you are going to the port to do. Today, we've also ensured that the cost of moving cargo, which used to be from 600,000 and above for 20 to 40-foot containers, have significantly dropped by up to 65%. We've also ensured that there is employment, having 240 persons in direct employment and over 400 who are in direct employment because of the system we brought into being. So these are some of the milestones we've achieved in the past 3 years.
Okay, so what about the drawbacks, the challenges?
Yes, we still have individuals and in some cases organizations that are bent on doing things the old-fashioned way because of the personal benefits it brings to them. So such individuals and organizations find it difficult to comply with the SOP. So that's a challenge. We also have road construction that is still ongoing at some parts of the port access roads that still contribute to the gridlock as at today. And in some cases, you have multiple checkpoints, both by police, other law enforcement agents, and informal actors. We're happy that the government is taking steps to deal with this challenge.
Okay, well, that's a good thing then. But how have you leveraged advanced technology in order to boost the efficiency of the electronic call-up system? How have you been able to do that?
So we have implemented over 100 updates on the app since we launched it. So that's an average of 33 updates in a year. We have also developed 2 new innovations. One is called the e-tag system, which is the means of migrating from using paper tickets or paper access bookings to electronic tags. So what this now does is that instead of you showing a paper, in order for someone to see, maybe the enforcement agents, MPA or security to see your ticket, that can be read off your windscreen against a reader that is installed at the ports and at the gates of the parks and terminals. So what this means is that less human interference, less human footprint, faster processing, and also more data accuracy. We also have developed what we call the EITN, the Export-Import Interchange Number, transaction number. What this does is that for each booking that you make, it is tied to a particular cargo. So that way, you would not make a booking for cargo A and then you go and offtake cargo B. This ensures data integrity, ensures more security, and that can help both the ports, the government to also do developmental planning.
All right, now you actually talked about extortion being one of the challenges ETO has actually faced or is facing. So I would like for you to tell us what proactive measures are being taken to reduce human interface in order to reduce multiple extortions of truckers, aside the government, doing something about it.
Okay, so we have developed an app that enables legitimate law enforcement agencies to enforce compliance with the SOP of the call-up system. So any authorized law enforcement agents will have access to the app. That app will be able to identify which trucks are validly on the road and which ones are not. So that means that there is no more, can I see your paper? And some of those stoppages on the road by both rogue and legitimate law enforcement agencies that cause delays, which in turn create avenue for the extortion. But there is a part that is squarely on the part of the government. As a private company, we can only bring innovations and solutions, but enforcement and compliance monitoring also has to come from the government. We're happy that Lagos State government and the Nigerian Ports Authority are working collaboratively to reduce the number of checkpoints and also flush those informal extortion points that has bedeviled the port access roads for years.
All right, now talking about the collaboration or partnership with the Nigerian Ports Authority and the Lagos State government, how has that impacted or improved the efficiency of the ETO Callup app?
So this is a tripod collaboration. You have the Nigerian Ports Authority, that is the economic regulator of the ports, and who initiated, or who will I say, who gave birth to the Callup system in terms of we want this solution to be at the ports. And they are also responsible for enforcing it among the port users and the port community. You have the Lagos State government that is responsible for, as the landlord of the state, for traffic management and traffic enforcement, and also for security. So there is a security team from Lagos State government under the Ministry of Transportation that is responsible for enforcing the Callup system. Of course, we ourselves as a private company, a technology company, brought the solution, which is now being implemented. It is on the basis of this tripod collaboration that we have what we call the Callup system at the Lagos ports today, and we're on an upward trajectory of improvement as we go along.
All right, well, we wish you all the best, even as you go along. Thank you so much, Jama Onwubuariri, MD, Truck Transit Parks Limited, for joining us and speaking to us on this.
Thank you, Dashin.
All right, the news continues after this break. And the world of sports, FUS Rabat extends winning streak to 3-0 by defeating Cape Town Tigers in Pretoria. Moroccans effectively neutralized Cape Town's key scorer Billy Preston, securing an 84-58 victory. Preston's limited time in the second half results in 5 points, 3 rebounds and 1 turnover. Tigers struggle with a 5 minutes, 39 seconds scoreless stretch between third and fourth quarters. Despite trailing 44-34 at halftime, FUS Rabat's dominant 16-0 run in the third quarter sealed the game. Aliou Diarra shines with 21 points, 3 blocks and 6 rebounds, while Jonathan Jordan's 8 points and 7 assists contributed to the victory.
Good opportunity, Diarra in the paint. He goes up using the glass sumptuously. 2 points, lasering it in for 3 points at a vital time. It's an 8-point lead. Brown under a little bit of pressure. Diarra goes out wide. Suita back to Diarra. Diarra's got Manyang down to the right. Will he use him? Will. Yes, it will. With Red gets to Milta.
The University of Ghana basketball court in Accra will host the 3x3 event of the Africa Games between March 18 to 22nd, igniting excitement as 20 teams, including 16 men's and 14 women's national sides, vie for gold medals. Reigning African Games champions Madagascar aims to defend their title against challengers from 15 other nations, including hosts Ghana. Egypt, the 2019 Africa Games runners-up, pose a formidable threat, while Benin and Togo emerge as potential surprises. In the women's event, 14 teams will compete after withdrawals from Liberia and Gabon, and Nigeria and Ethiopia stepping in. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that tensions mount in Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board as Minister and Executive Secretary tussle for power. We also told you that dozens abducted as bandits strike Kaduna community again. And finally, you heard that Russia has threatened nuclear war if U.S. deploys troops to Ukraine. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.